Hello beautiful besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Luna and welcome to Luna's bookshelf. So in today's video I'm going to show you guys books I read in January and February. I am going to combine I think more months, especially if I don't read as much as if I'm only reading 3 books in a month like I did in February. I think it's interesting if I combine like January and February. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what we're going to do in today's video. I hope you guys are excited just as I am. So I would say let's get into the video. So first up, I'm going to give you guys some statistics, like how many books I read, what the genres I read were. So I read a total of 9 books. In January I read 6 books and in February I read 3 books. The genres I read in these 2 months were 5 romances, 1 adult fantasy, 2 YA fantasies, and 1 nonfiction book. So yeah, okay, I would say let's get started. Let's get started with the books I read in January. So the first book I read in January was The Gingerbread Bakery by Laurie Gilmore. So I read this book as my book club book for like December, but also kind of for January. This is part of the Dream Harbor series. I think this is like the 5th book. I'm going to take a look. Yes, this is the 5th book. And in this book we follow Annie and Meg. Annie and Meg, they know each other from back in the day when they just graduated high school. They also knew each other when they were still in high school. And it switches between 2 POVs, between 2 different timelines. So we have the timeline of now and then the then timeline when they meet each other and everything. So now they're both at the same town and there's a wedding happening. And they're both helping because both of them are like, oh my god, how do you say it? Groomsmen? No. I don't know I don't remember, but you know what I mean, I think. And they have to be in the wedding, they have to help everything set up and everything. So that's what they're going to do. Annie, she's a baker, so she also has like this little bakery in Dream Harbor, and she is in charge of also making the wedding cake, etc. But the thing is, back in the day, something happened between them, which caused Annie to have like kind of being angry with Meg. She is like a little bit more, she's distancing herself from him because he hurt her in the past, and she is scared he will do that again. And that's what kind of said wrong with me, like the fact it's been a while ago. I mean they were like just graduated high school, and okay, things happened, and I get that she was hurt, but you're grown-ups now, like, girl. Because Mac really wants to solve things and wants to clear the air. He wants to talk to Annie and say like, hey, this is what happened. But she doesn't want that. She's like really resistant and like, no, I don't want to talk to him, etc. And it kind of annoyed me. I was like, girl, just talk to the man. He's trying his best. You know what I mean? And there was also this little side quest. So the grandma of the groomsman and bridesmaid. Oh my god! So the grandmother of the groom, I think, she was missing, and this was a little side quest that both of them were going to look for her. It was really random. I don't know why they put it in there, but it was. I don't know how I feel about it. It's just pretty random, you know. I mean, it was cute at sometimes. There were some times I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of fun. And the ending was also pretty cute. But there was more times that I was annoyed and I was like rooting for them, you know? I mean, back in the day, they made sense. But now I don't think they make like a lot of sense to be together anymore. So yeah, I give this book 3 stars. It was fine. But I'm not going to read any other books in this series, I think. So yeah, it was okay. The next book I read in January is a book I was very excited about. I got this from my boyfriend for Christmas, and that is Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. So this is her first adult fantasy book. She has written previous YA fantasies like the Caravel series, The Once Upon a Broken Heart, and this is her first adult fantasy. So I was really excited to start this. I didn't really know much about it, but I mean, when I saw what this kind of was about, I was really intrigued. It is going to be part of the series. There are going to be other books. I think that if I'm correct, if I saw it on Goodreads, it is. It is like this magical. It's really similar to like maybe Caraval, but like really an adult version. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it follows this girl. I'm kind of forgot her name. Holland. Holland, she always has like this thing. She always believed that magic is real. She follows this class at the university by the professor, and the professor tells this kind of stories, and they're supposed to be real, but some people also believe they're fiction. And all of a sudden, everything comes together, and there's some things happening, and she's going on this quest. I think the best thing to do with this book is go into it blindly, so you don't know what to get. You don't know what will happen. And I think this what I really liked about it, that I kind of went in blindly, so I didn't really know and didn't really have a lot of expectations. So, oh, this is going to happen and this is not going to happen. And I really like that. So yeah, I'm really excited to read more about the series and more about these characters. So I can't wait for the next book to come out. So I give this book 4 stars because it was really good and I really love the writing and it's just so interesting, you know? Okay, the next book I read was a reread. I was so happy to reread this book. It is a book from one of my favorite authors. There was just a movie release, a book adaptation to a movie, and I really wanted to read the book again first before I watched the movie. And this also got me like give me a free pass to buy this other edition of the book, and that is People Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. If you don't know what this book is about already, I don't know what you're doing, because this book is the moment. The movie was released in January, and I really wanted to like read the book again because I read it in like 2021, I think. So it's been a while ago, you know? So I really needed to read the book again. And I'm so glad I did because I had such a great time following Poppy and Alex, their story. So if you do not know what this book is about, you follow Poppy and Alex throughout different summers. So one summer, something happened which caused of them to not speak anymore for like a long time. But then Poppy decides to invite Alex to one last trip to hopefully make sure they're friends again. So yeah, but it's really I love it. So you have 2 different timelines. So you see leading up to the last summer vacation they had, like that caused like the friendship to kind of end, and also the present timeline. And I really love that we see both timelines so we can really understand what happened and what led up to that moment, to them not speaking anymore. Poppy and Alex just, yeah. And by the way, if you didn't like this movie and you haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend reading the book because there are some differences in the book that are not in the movie, and they kind of change, which I'm kind of sad about, but I mean, I kind of understand as well. But some key elements that I think are kind of out of the characters that I think like, that shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. So yeah. So this was a reread. It's a romance book. And yeah, just one of my favorite books of all time by one of my favorite authors of all time. So I obviously give this book 5 stars. I think it's even a 6 stars by just rereading it. I just love it. And I also got this edition because I had the UK edition, but I really wanted this edition because all of my Emily Henry books are US editions. This next book is a book I was also very excited about. It was a new release by an author I discovered, I think, in not the 2025, no, not the 2025, 2024, I think 2024, and I really liked all of her books I read by her, and I was like, I just need to read more. And then I started the series, and then I knew this new book was coming out in this series, and I just couldn't wait to read this book, and that is Air Dreams by Sarah Adams. So this is part of the When I Roam series. It is a final book, and I can't tell you enough about how much I love the series. The When I Roam series, the sisters, the brother, oh my god, I love all of these characters in the series. So I was so excited, but also kind of sad because that meant the series was coming to an end. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But in the final book, we follow Emily. Emily, she used to work as a teacher in Rome, but it was never her passion. She wants to be a chef. So she decides to go to New York and follow this program to become a chef. Becoming a chef and being in New York kind of had its ups and downs. She didn't feel her best in there, and one night she calls James. But she didn't mean to call James. And James is like the childhood friend they all knew. He is like Noah's best friend, kind of like a brother to Noah, and Noah is a brother of, oh my god, I said Emily, but it's Madison. Oh my god, I don't know why I said Emily. It's kind of embarrassing coming from me when I just said that I love this series so much. Don't mind me. But yeah. So Madison, she calls James and kind of begins rattling, crying about how she is not like feeling it anymore. She doesn't like New York and etc. And then James makes a proposition because like he says, you know what? I'm starting this new restaurant at the farm and I want you to be my chef. Say what? So yeah, that's what happens. So Madison goes back to Rome. All of things happen. I loved it so much. It was so good. I really don't understand why people didn't like this. I can understand because I loved it. We were from book 1 kind of leading up to this moment to Madison and James's story. So I was so excited and it was so hyped up. So maybe I do understand why people didn't like it as much as they thought they would, because it was so hyped up, because we kind of knew there was this history between them. But yeah, so I obviously give this book 5 stars. It's so good, and I will at one time will be rereading all of these books. I really like watching Hilly Femme, and this book, especially this author, she really loved this author, Haley Pham, and I was like, I need to read a book by this author. I don't care which book it is, I just need to read a book by her. And I decided, I saw it in a bookstore, and I was like, you know what? You're coming home with me. And I discovered a story by Mari. I don't know, I don't remember how to pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to do it for the sake of not embarrassing myself. So yeah. So I really wanted to read a book by this author because Hilly Pham really raves about her books and how the writing is so beautiful and so good. So I was like, you know what? Now I'm going to read it. And I did. You know what? I'm just going to read the back of this book because I don't know how to really explain this without like spoiling too much, you know? So Bells joined the tiny Manchester office of a national paper from her indie podcast. 30-something Connor is going back to the start as a new intern. The latest office news, they can't stand each other. So of course, Belle bumps into Connor when she's working undercover of the biggest scoop of her career. And of course, she's forced to improvise, pretending they're a couple. A couple deeply in love. And it was so fun. It really is a cover story. They start to kind of fake date because she is investigating a story for an article, and it's so fun. I really loved reading about it, and like I'm a journalism student as well, so it's really interesting to like see journalism incorporating in a book. And the writing was really good. There were some times I was a little bit more like distracted and kind of needed to be invested in the story again, but overall it was a really good story and I really enjoyed it. So I give this book 4 stars. This is a book that I've talked about in a previous video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video because it's kind of boring. I made like a whole reading vlog about this book. There's another book coming, as you probably know which one. And this one is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So this is a 6th book in a Harry Potter series, and I did an entire reading vlog about reading this book and also the last book, so that's also coming. So I would highly recommend just watching that video if you want to know all of my thoughts. So yeah, I really loved reading this book. It was so fun and so nostalgic, even though I've never read the books but only watched the movies. In this book we follow a little bit more, also because I don't want to spoil too much about it. So yeah, but obviously you're still following Harry and Hermione and Ron. There are some things that are discovered in this book and that lead up to the final book. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It was really fun and really unexpected. So yeah, and I give this book 4.25 stars. So that were all the books for January. Now we're going to the books for February. The first book in February I read was a non-fiction book. I really want to read more non-fiction books, and especially also Dutch books. And this is a non-fiction and a Dutch book. And that is Het Dagboek van de Gerechtspsychiater, or Diary of a Psychiatrist who is, I don't know how to say it, has thing to do with the judicial system and etc. You know, with law cases. This was really interesting because there are some things that I didn't expect. It was also very intense. So if you're like a sensitive reader, I don't recommend this book because there are some cases that are used as an example, and especially because these are such delicate cases. It is pretty intense. There are some children involved. There is, especially cases with children are very intense. I also didn't read this book because I kind of feel weird reading a book like this. I don't read any non-fiction books actually, but still. It was really interesting. It's really my cup of tea, and if you're really into like law and these kind of themes, I highly recommend reading this book. So yeah. The next book I read was also the Harry Potter book, and it was a final Harry Potter book, and that's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I obviously had to finish the series, and I finally did, which is kind of equally sad, but equally I'm happy that I finished it because now I can read also other things, you know. But I really loved the series in total. It was so fun to read about Ron, Hermione, and Harry, and everything. This really is a finale. Everything is coming together, and yeah, I don't know. Don't want to spoil too much, obviously. If you want spoilers, you can watch my reading vlog. But I gave this book 4.75 stars. Then there's one final book I read in February, and it was my book club book, and that was You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. I saw this book for the first time, I think, in a video of Sarah Caroli, and it kind of intrigued me. And that's why I decided to like say to my friends, like, you know, I'm going to put it on a list. We always, each of us like gives a book, and then we just spin the wheel, and that's when the book is chosen. And this time it was my book. And it really wasn't what I expected. So I do have to say that it took me a long time to read this book. I think I started this reading in the beginning of February and ended it and finished it at the end of February. But it also was because I was also reading Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows because I wanted to finish that reading vlog. And that kind of distracted me from reading You Deserve Each Other. And looking at it back now, I think I should have just read that first and then go to Harry Potter. But you know what? Sometimes we make decisions and think we should have done it in another way. But you know, it is what it is. That doesn't take away that I still like the book. It is very different from your regular romance books. We follow two characters. I'm not gonna lie, but I kind of forgot their names. They are engaged and they don't like each other. They're having trouble with their marriage, within their relationship, and they don't talk a lot to each other. So they also don't know how the other one feels exactly in this relationship. And I think that's really enhanced like the feeling of how you can feel in a relationship. Like sometimes the key is really just to talk with your partner and say how you're feeling and what you want and everything. And it was really fun to read. It's just a different book than always the regular romance books you read quite a lot. They are quite popular these days, which doesn't mean that you're not good, you know. But I mean, it was really fun to read something different for a change. My friend said on her Goodreads thing that was like a fresh of breath air, and I completely agree with it. It really is a fresh of breath air with like these regular romances you always read. So yeah, I give this book 4 stars, and I think I would have rated it maybe higher if I would have like read it in a short time period. But you know what? It is what it is. I still enjoyed the story, and it was really fun to read, and I highly recommend reading the book if you haven't already. So that were all the books I read in January, February. I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know what your favorite book was of January and February. I think if I have to choose, my favorite book would be In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams, because I really enjoyed the book. It was a 5-star book for me, and kind of sad story. The family walkers, I'm not going to read about them anymore. So yeah, I really hope you guys liked this video. If you did, maybe like, maybe even subscribe, and then I would say see you next time. Bye!